Horror Fanatic here, and it's time we talk about a book. This month, as I promised last, I'm going to talk about Forever Odd by Dinar Koontz, the second in the Odd Thomas series. Well, I do have to say I enjoyed this one less than the original, but not by much. My only real complaint is I wish it had more of a little Ozzy in it and Terrible Chester, and maybe slightly more from the police chief, Terry to a certain extent, as I felt like the secondary characters introduced in the first book were far too absent in this one, even though they do show up from time to time. Though there was plenty of Elvis, and that made me very happy, as once again, Elvis is the best side character in the book. I do like the change of gears for the pacing of the story from this one. Whereas Odd Thomas's danger was on a grandiose scale and with a mass killing, this one is much more drawn in and personal to Odd Thomas. That shouldn't be said because the last one did end in the death of his girlfriend, Stormy. This one starts after the death of Dr. Jessup, who lives up the street, who is the stepfather to one of Odd Thomas's childhood friends, Danny. Danny suffers from I actually can't remember what the name of it is, and it's so hard to pronounce I don't want to mess it up, but his bones are brittle and tend to break. Well, not so much as an adult, but heavily as a child. Dr. Jessup's ghost visits Odd, brings him to his house where he finds Dr. Jessup, of course, murdered, and Danny missing. And then the rest of the book is him hunting down Danny via psychic magnetism. And then, once he finds Danny, eluding/escaping his captors while saving Danny. I just, after a certain point, didn't find Datura, the main villain of this novel, all that interesting. When she was just plain old crazy with no motives beyond seeing a ghost, something that she can't do and only Odd Thomas can. Well, to date, Odd Thomas is the only one, the English kid that could, of course, got hit prior to the beginning of the first book. But, yeah, it's just her and two of her henchmen, with the third one being killed. Though, they never explain why the snake-looking man, the one that tasers Odd early in the book, gets killed in the sewers. What did he do to deserve death by the other two of her henchmen, Andre, and I want to say Nick, but that's probably wrong. And it doesn't really go into either of them if they're actually Cheval or just people who buy into Datura's particular brand of crazy. And I would have liked to see that more explored and developed. And doubt it will, but maybe it will in further novels. I do like that Odd Thomas's tone in this one is more melancholy and somber, which makes sense and stays fitting with the character. I like the casino they visit and the ruins and him trying to help ghosts there, though now that he knows they're there, would he feel inclined to help them, like drawn to aid them as he does others? Because beyond talking to them in the lobby, it doesn't feel like he does much. I do like that he uses his powers to find psychic magnetism to find Danny, and then it is used against him as it reveals that occasionally when people think of him, they can stumble across him with his psychic magnetism pulling them in reverse. And I like that a lot. I did really like the storm, and I did like that it gave a supernatural feel when Datura stated that some idiot must have killed a black snake and hung it in a tree, stating the storm was potentially conjured. And I like that. And I like that she expands the world of mysticism, but in the world of Odd Thomas, but the issue I run into is she's like 7 kinds of crazy at the very least. So, also being a liar, you can't trust anything that she said about the ritual she saw, or the places she's seen, or the mysticism that she's seen worked. As it could also be her being crazy as shit, and most likely is, as none of it seems to line up with how ghosts function for Odd Thomas, who as far as we know is the only one who can interact with ghosts. The chase scenes did go a bit long. I'm gonna have to say that. Like, if there's any one flaw in this book that I have to state, it's just that it's 80% chase scene. Like, right from the get-go, right to the very end, it is chase scene after following and chasing and following. And for me at least, that grew thin really fast. Though, it was still good, it gave Odd Thomas time to reflect, but it felt like he spent more time reacting than being proactive to me, and I really like a proactive Odd Thomas. Also, the poltergeist angle felt like it was being reworked from Fungus Bob, but then again, like, I can't argue against it, it's not my world. I just would have liked to see Odd Thomas outthink them in another way. So, all that said, if you like the first Odd Thomas, and you want to see where it goes from there, especially his emotional state after the death of Stormy Luann, I would seriously recommend reading Forever Odd. It was a good read, it was a quick read. I plowed through this whole book in about 4.5 hours. And it was worth the time spent. And I might revisit it again someday should I ever choose to pick up and read the series from beginning to end. Should I ever get to the end of it the first time. Well, that's my thoughts for Forever Odd by Dean Koontz, the sequel to Forever Odd. And I hope to see you next month when I review For Better Homes and Hauntings by Molly Harper. While technically not a horror novel and instead a romance, it does have horror elements taking place in a secluded location, a deranged boyfriend from what I understand, ghosts, as haunting would imply, and I'd like to see how the horror elements weave into this narrative, and I just kind of read something lighter. And that's all for me for this month, and I hope to see you next month, and see you next time.